we were driving down to Pennsylvania and I tried David's first prototype and my piano world changed. I played it for 2 hours. I hadn't played the piano for more than 15 minutes pain-free for decades. And now I'm in my late 30s and I'm playing this. And they kept coming back. What do you think, Linda? And I kept saying, leave it alone, leave it alone. And I knew that if I could have one of these, I could perform again. I could play repertoire that I could never play. It just was life-changing.
Hey there, I'm Rachel Ehring, and you're listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. Get inspired as we discuss creative resources, trends in piano pedagogy, ways to grow your income and streamline your studio, and new ways to engage your students each week. If you are a teacher who wants to go beyond the method books to create an innovative studio that fosters lifelong music makers, you've come to the right place. Hello, piano teachers. How are you today? I have a question for you. Would you ever want to play a narrow keys piano? What comes up for you when I even suggest it? What if it wasn't an acoustic piano, but a keyboard? I'm guessing many of you would have so many thoughts about this. Maybe questions, hesitations, or maybe your first thought is a flat out no way. I recently met Linda Gould at the NCKP conference in Chicago, where she was demoing her brand new Athena narrow keys piano. And when I first sat down to try it, I had all the same thoughts and questions that you are probably having right now. But the more I talked to her and started asking these questions, the more convinced I became that this narrow keys piano might actually be an amazing instrument that could change the way so many small-handed pianists approach big repertoire. So today I have Linda on the show to share about this brand new instrument, and I think you're going to love hearing her story and how this whole thing came about. Here's a little about Linda. Linda Gould is the author of Play Piano Chords Today and has been teaching and performing for 5 decades, debuting at age 11 when she performed a Bach piano concerto with the Mount Royal College Orchestra. Linda has a B-Mus in performance with distinction and a minor in math. She is a competition and exam award winner and recently won Tech Teacher of the Year. In her late 30s, she met David Steinbuhler, the inventor of the narrow keys piano action. Within 2 years, Linda was back performing big works with orchestras. This spring, she completed a 2-piano concert tour with her sister, Sue Gould, performing 11 concerts in 6 days on her narrow digital piano keys. Here's my chat with Linda. Hi, Linda. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited to talk with you today. Could you start by introducing yourself and tell us just a little bit about what you do?
Hi, Rachel. Sure. I'm Linda Gould, CEO of Narrow Key Pianos, and I'm also co-founder. I have a partner, Kathy Strauch, who is doing this journey with me. I'm a pianist and an educator, and I focus on advancing narrow key piano design so more players can play with ease and freedom.
All right, we're going to get into that today, and I'm really excited to hear more about it. Can you start by telling us just a little of your piano journey? What were your early lessons like? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I know early lessons are really important, but I was 3 when I started, so I really don't remember it. Piano has always been part of my life. But I do remember at 14 I won a concerto competition and got to play with the local youth orchestra. And boy, did that light a spark. I was playing with other kids. So a year later, I joined my first chamber group. And I also became a rehearsal pianist at a local dance company. My piano teacher said, Linda has to learn how to sight read. This is the best way. And boy, did that fast track that. So now I'm playing with people, making money. And I knew piano was going to be part of the rest of my life.
All right. What did your career look like up until this point? Were you a piano teacher, a performer? Where'd that lead?
Good question. I was tracking to academia. I got my bachelor degree. I was accepted for my master's degree at Indiana. And that year I took a year off, just a gap year. And at a piano performance, I lost the use of my right hand. Piano injury. It sidelined my life. So I'm not one to wallow in it. So I just thought, what can I do? I went into the business world. I grew up in a business family, and I always had piano in my background, but it changed dramatically.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Did you have to completely stop playing? And then how did you get back to it?
Good question. I had my hand in a cast for 3 years.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it was a full stop. Discovering what was wrong was a big deal. Piano injuries are just not that well known, and turned out to be a cyst embedded in my wrist, pushing up against a nerve, et cetera, et cetera. So by the time I had the surgery, I was entrenched in the business world. I actually had some shoe stores. I was having kids, but I was learning left-hand piano like crazy. I learned the Ravel left-hand piano concerto. I learned all of the Bach cello suites. I loved the piano. I didn't want to leave it. So when I got my hand back, it was a long kind of journey back. And I knew, or I thought I knew, that my performing career was over. I loved performing. I loved high-level playing. And I thought, okay, let's just dial it down. I had a few kids I taught, which I loved. I taught my own kids, but it was a change in a direction I was not planning on.
So I'm guessing maybe that's what led you to the narrow keys piano. Can you take us over that bridge? How did that come to be?
Well, that was the life changer. So we always, Chris Donison, who was a collaborator with David Steinbuhler, Chris and I were colleagues at university, and we always kind of half joked about our small hands and just how, a lot of the repertoire, we just couldn't play. We loved it, wanted to. I said, why don't we get our hands cut off and big hands sewn on? Totally. He was much smarter, and he said, well, why don't they just make the keys narrower? And I thought that was brilliant. But you can have an idea, and as everyone knows, you have an idea, and then how do you bring that to light? Chris did it. He went out and he found someone, Pratt, I can't remember the name of the company, but he had a kind of a crude, I shouldn't say crude because it still works, but it was the first. And he and I kept kind of in touch over the years. And I was down in Toronto on business. He was the director of Shaw Music Festival. And I contacted him. I said, hey, Chris, I've always wanted to try your piano. My hand's feeling better, and I think that might help. So I met up with him, and he had just the weekend before met up with David Steinbuhler, and they had started collaborating on this. So fast forward, we were driving down to Pennsylvania, and I tried David's first prototype, and my piano world changed. I played it for 2 hours. I hadn't played the piano for more than 15 minutes pain-free for decades. And now I'm in my late 30s, and I'm playing this. And they kept coming back. What do you think, Linda? And I kept saying, leave me alone, leave me alone. And I knew that if I could have one of these, I could perform again. I could play repertoire that I could never play. It just was life-changing.
Wow. Okay. So what happened next? So how did you get one of your own?
So I said to David, if you ever make one of these, here is a check for your first one. Please don't make it too big a check. And he was very kind. It was very expensive, and he made this beautiful retrofit. I got the very first one David Steinbuhler ever made. I still play it to this day. He did a phenomenal job. And so now it's in my Yamaha grand piano. Well, at this point, I had sold my shoe stores and got into the piano business. And I was in a piano store that had a piano truck, and we started moving my grand piano. I got to play with the local orchestra. I played Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue. I played Brahms Quintet with the I could suddenly move this grand piano around, which is highly inconvenient for most people. But
wait a minute. Okay. So is it an electronic? Was it an electronic? No, it was an acoustic.
5'8" acoustic grand piano. I had to have piano movers every time I performed, move this thing.
The first one that David made for you, it was acoustic, and you put it.
They're all, until the piano that we're talking about today, Athena, they've all been acoustic.
Okay. So you retrofitted it into your Yamaha? Is that what you did?
You just slide out the action.
Uh-huh.
And you take the new narrow key action and you slide it in. It lines up with all the strings, with the soundboard. Everything is the same, but it's narrow keys.
And so you would move it around with you.
3 minutes. It takes, and I kept saying, why can't we have these in all the concert halls? Because in 3 minutes, that's all it takes. You slide it out, put it on the shelf, the action, and put in the new one. but that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Okay. So you were moving your grand piano around with you in this truck whenever you performed.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I didn't know that part of the story. So at what point did you decide that maybe that wasn't sustainable?
When the piano movers go, Linda, really?
Again?
It was a luxury. It was a complete luxury. However, by that time, I'd been doing this for 10 years. And I said, I have to be able to take narrow keys with me. I have to have a portable, digital pianos are out there. They're getting better all the time. It just like that drive started happening. How can we do this? And that was a long journey that led to Athena.
Okay. So tell us about Athena. And wait, is it Athena or Athena?
Athena.
Athena. Okay.
She is the goddess of tradition and wisdom.
Okay. All right. So tell us about that and what was the process of getting the first digital narrow keys piano?
So the process is way too long, way too boring. It's just talking and networking and meeting with people and getting tons and tons and tons of no's. And the more no's we got, the more we learned about what we really wanted, the more it got focused. When I say we, meeting up with Kathy through Facebook it's fabulous because now we were a team and she brought in her background. She was newer to narrow keys than I was. She was more beginner, but she brought a piano, but she brought a whole other set. And we eventually found a factory that would talk to us and listen to us and work with our design. I couldn't believe it when I actually got it 2 months ago and opened up the box and went, holy crap, this is finally.
Wow. So just give us an idea. How long was that from when you were moving your grand piano around to 2 months ago?
I was 38 when I first tried David's prototype, and I am now, I'm not ashamed to say I'm 68.
So 30 years. Oh my goodness.
6 minus 3, 3 decades.
Three decades.
3 decades.
Wow. That's incredible. So all of us who are trying to fast track things with our businesses can learn from you and look where you are today. You have this beautiful instrument behind you. Tell us about Athena and what makes it so special.
Great question. Athena is a digital piano with 88 narrow keys, weighted, graded hammer action. It has to, we had to have a keyboard that could play the big works, the great jazz, the great classical. It had to be a real piano, not a toy. And it has, the octave is an inch narrower than most of the 6.5 standard pianos out there, than all of them pretty much. That inch makes a huge difference for small hands. It makes the difference between making things possible. The impossible works are now possible. The opening to Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto, the opening to Grieg Piano Concerto, playing Oscar Peterson tenths, talking to Jeremy Siskind at the NCKP. He just said, so many of my listeners want to play the tenths that I just take for granted. The large-handed, mostly male piano players take for granted, and they don't understand what we go through every day. And then you sit down at a piano that fits your hands, which Athena does, fits small hands, and it's like we suddenly have those large hands sewn on.
Yeah. Okay. So I have very small hands. I think like whenever anyone says, oh, I have really small hands, I can't play the piano, whatever, I would say, look at mine, because I don't think I've ever met a pianist that has smaller hands than mine,
You
honestly.
have tiny hands.
Yes, we met recently. I have tiny hands. And as a collaborative pianist, because that was my career for many years, I had to play anything and everything that was put in front of me. I didn't have a choice. Like back when I was in undergrad, my teachers were, considerate of my small hands, and they wouldn't assign me Rachmaninoff or, some of those big things. But then as a collaborative pianist, I had to play everything. And some of those modern works, like it depends on you being able to reach a ninth or a 10th. It doesn't sound the same without it. And I just had to adapt. Like I was like, sorry, I can't do it. Physically, my hands don't do that. So I was really interested when I saw this at NCKP and met you there. I was so excited to try it out. And do you remember my reaction when I first sat down and tried it?
It's brand new. The first few minutes are like, what the heck is this?
I was like, this is awful. I think I said something like this because the feel, like everything I knew about playing the piano and the feel of a fifth, the feel of an octave, everything was off when I first sat down and played. And I'm one of those pianists who tries to never look at my hands. And I really don't look at my hands except when absolutely necessary. So I do it all by feel. And the feel was completely off. But what did you tell me?
Don't worry, just play it for a few more minutes and then go home and sleep on it. Our brains are designed to adapt. Every time we walk up a different staircase, the first step, our brain goes, I got this. The rest of the stairs are going to be the same. We are designed to adapt. And it's the same 3 black notes, the same 2 black notes, and the same. And the fact that you play by feel means you will adapt. You'll be one of the 15-minute adapters, not one of the 2-day adapters. You will feel just like Braille, just like Louis Braille, who is a blind French organist, and he could go from organ to piano to different size keys. We adapt. But that first time, it is shocking. It is absolutely, it's shocking. And then it becomes the best thing ever. And we think that narrow keys will mess up our technique. That's the thing. Oh my God, I can't touch this because you're going to ruin everything. And our brains adapt. It's not going to mess you up. It just feels different. And it actually improves your piano playing. They don't just make it easier, they make it possible. And one thing I discovered recently, I've been doing this for decades, but I still have discoveries. Unlike small violins and small cellos, narrow keys have the same sound. A small violin and a small cello has a smaller sound. A narrow key piano has the same sound, whether it's digital or acoustic, as a regular size. We don't have to compromise sound.
Mm-hmm. So my big question at NCKP, and I'll ask it of you again, was, are pianists able to go back and forth between the narrow keys and regular size keys? Because reality is you might not always be able to take your narrow keys with you.
Absolutely. Although now they're digital, I'm doing it more and more. But that's a great question. So a colleague of mine, this literally happened 3 weeks ago. She has smaller hands and she's like you, skeptical about narrow keys, or what, like you were. And so I lent her one of my Athena prototypes. We don't have them out in the world. They're going out in the world in the next few weeks. They're currently being inspected in customs. So this is very timely. Anyway, so after playing it for a couple of weeks, the Athena, she wrote to me. I'm going to read what she wrote. I generally choose repertoire that isn't going to cause me pain or injury, but I want to play the entire Debussy pour le piano, and the toccata has some stretchy sections. And I've only been able to practice it in short spurts. The narrow keys enabled me to practice it for longer periods of time, which helped me learn it more quickly and helped with memorization. She got that right out of the gate. When I went back to my grand, it didn't take me any time to adjust back to the regular keys. So it helps you if you just practice on narrow keys and perform on regular keys, you can practice longer without that fatigue that all small hands are used to having. We go, okay, I'm tired, I back off. And unlike me, who kept pushing through it and made injury. And you have more relaxation, so you're memorizing faster. You can feel that feel of the keys that advanced piano players have is so important for memory. And the other thing is narrow keys demand more accuracy. They have less real estate. They demand you get to the center of the note and you take that back to the big keys, the big chubby keys, as like to call them.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember I had a friend in undergrad who had very large hands and she could reach a 10th. And she said, I'm jealous of your small hands because there's less chance for you to miss the the interval. Like she has 3 more intervals that she could potentially make a mistake on. So I guess I would have to get used to that. I would have more intervals to miss potentially.
It does. It just forces an accuracy, and it's made up for the fact that we have to move less. You're not the big movements that small-handed piano players make all the time throw us slightly off balance. And the more we can maintain total balance and be right behind where our chords are, the more we are in control. So I would go for the accuracy in the narrow keys way more than being able to be sloppy and kind of have little hands on big keys.
I have to tell you, playing a 10th for the first time and multiple 10ths even in a row was kind of mind-blowing because I've never been able to do that before. And it was kind of amazing.
And isn't a 10th the most delightful sound?
It is.
Thirds are nice, but 10ths are just spectacular sounding intervals.
I know, and I've never, ever played them. On a good day, I can play a 9th, but that's not very satisfying.
They don't sound as great. And I play them on the very edge of the key, like super stretched. And the 10th, yes, I could roll a 10th, but rolling a 10th is not the same as boom, just putting it down. I got to do it. Here we go. You ready? Well, no, I can't because one thing about the Athena, it automatically goes off after 15 minutes. So It has to boot up, but it's almost booted up. I played that with just one hand.
Beautiful.
There's the beginning of the Blackbird. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Blackbird giving in the dead of night.
It's beautiful. All right. So would you say that it promotes healthier technique in small-handed pianists?
Absolutely, unequivocally. Carol Leone has been teaching on narrow keys at university level for years, and it's fully researched. What hasn't been researched is because it's been more for the pianist who doesn't want to play. It's not been for students, like young students, because it hasn't been affordable. It hasn't been portable, all that. So this is the new thing. The teachers out there, I challenge the teachers. You can be the first to go through having students start from scratch on narrow keys. We're just starting that now. But bringing those senior students at university level to the narrow keys and fixing their bad habits that they've had to create, and then they can carry most of them to the 6.5 octave if they wish, or you can get a degree on a 5.5-inch narrow key octave and just play like you had big hands.
Oh, wow. So I saw the ad that you sent me with the 13-year-old girl, which was fascinating. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe a little more about using the instrument with kids and what that would look like?
Absolutely. So Felicia, very advanced pianist. She's working on her grade 10 RCM. And of course, having to just pick and choose through the repertoire because she can barely reach an octave. But she has such advanced technique and learns pieces fast. So we lent her the Athena with the idea of doing this commercial. And a week later, she comes back playing the Liszt Liebestrom number 3, I think it is, with all the octave leaps there. Like, just got it. And she was performing at a garden show for the local conservatory a couple weeks later. And she said, I really want to play that Liszt and I can't play it on regular keyboards. Can I borrow your Athena and play it in the garden? And she played for 2.5 hours. She said, no fatigue. And I mean, 13-year-olds generally have the flexibility that we lose as we get older. But she just got it and she loved it. Now she's going, can I take my exam on this? Because there's so many more pieces that I want to play that I can now play. And so this is causing that change. We're in change right now.
Yeah. Talk a little more about that. What do you think is the future? Because I think right now, the biggest obstacle is, number one, people don't know about it. And number two, they're not readily available. So if you have one at home, what do you do when you go to, somewhere that doesn't have it? So tell us about the future and what you envision.
Oh, thank you. I love to talk about this. I envision for the next generation an entirely different world of piano. That they're going to go, you mean you used to play the same size keys? All of you? That's crazy. So up until now, narrow keys have been in acoustic pianos, and they cost 10,000 plus. And with portable, they're more affordable. Kids can have them in their home. Teachers can afford to. We almost all of us have second pianos in our studios now. We play along with the kids, demonstrating that's one of the best ways to teach. And so you can put it in your studio. You can also carry it to the local church. So you can have on. I was just at a piano recital for my grandsons, and she gave it in a local care home, which is wonderful, bringing children into a care home. And I watched, and they all played the grand piano that was at the care home, which was a lovely piano. And I would say 80% of those kids should have been playing on narrow keys. So you can take it there, and you can say to your senior students, you guys get the grand piano, the senior students that have the big hands, and the junior students, you get to play a piano that fits your hands too. Sounds really great. And so you can perform on it. And at NCKP, we were right next to the RCM booth. We chatted with them a lot. They said, of course, now you can take an online exam on any good quality 88 key keyboard. They don't have you can't do it on narrow keys. So you can take an exam right away. I said, what about a live exam? Because live exams are, they're not for everybody, and not all kids take exams, but for those who do, they're taking it under advisement. They're looking into this. This is all part of the change. Can we get it into an exam? And digital pianos have come so far. A lot of teachers say, I don't do electric pianos. Those digital pianos. And so many professional pianists I've been chatting, just talking with the coolest people like you in this last year. And they go, Linda, I only do acoustics. I get that over and over again. And then I send them an Athena to try. And 100% of them have bought it. They do not realize how far digital pianos have come. Aside, at the summer series in the park, our local symphony, it's a professional level symphony, they always have a concert. So 17-year-old won it, playing Tchaikovsky #1. The bandshell did not have room for a grand piano. So they got a Yamaha digital piano, and he played with the professional orchestra to 800 people. And it sounded amazing. So this, I only play acoustic pianos, absolutely, is the best piano ever, a concert grand, you betcha. But we can come pretty close. And kids can play on pianos right away with that right technique, with that quiet hand, with that relaxed wrist, with not having to overextend just to reach a triad. It's so satisfying as I'm seeing more and more kids adapting to this. And most of the kids, they just sit down and start playing it. And I go, does this piano feel different? Maybe a little. And they don't even notice.
Wow. And then they go back to the regular size, and it's no problem.
It's no problem. It's absolutely no problem.
Okay. This is so fascinating, Linda. I would love for you to tell us a little more of the specifics of the Athena that is going to be available in just a few weeks. Like, tell us, how much it weighs, what features it has, anything you want to tell us that we haven't covered yet.
Okay, sure. First of all, with the launch special, it comes at just under $2,000.
Which is a great price for any nice digital piano.
It is. And we put in triple sensors. That was really important so that you could have the double escapement that a grand piano gives you for repetition. Graded hammer action so that just like a grand piano, the bass keys are slightly heavier than the top. We worked very hard on the action. People say, does it play like a Yamaha or a Roland or a Casio? No, it plays like an Athena. And we got great reviews from all the teachers that tried it at NCKP. I don't want to go into the details of how we did it working out with the engineers, but it's got a great action. It has a whole bunch of voices. So I just had a kid doing the grade 3 playing the trumpet march from RCM. And I said, let's pull out the trumpet. And so he played it on the trumpet. And it was just like he got the feel of that brass, that da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-dum, bum, bum, ba. So it's got a whole bunch of sounds, which some teachers love and some teachers hate. And so they're there. There's only one to choose from. So we had to satisfy a lot of people. It's got the chords where you can put on, you can pick a samba rhythm or a Latin jazz rhythm or a rock and roll rhythm and push the button, and it's got that beat. So I love that for teaching, so that you can get that groove that the tick, tick, tick of the metronome doesn't give you. It's great for Mozart, but when I'm teaching some Christopher Norton or Martha Mayer, I need them to understand the groove. And the kids get it. What else does it have that's fun? Oh, it's got this lovely reverberation. So on a grand piano, if you put a triad down silently and then you hit that same triad really loud an octave lower, the triad will resonate. This does that. They built that into the software. So it's got string resonance, and you can play around with the resonance, so that if I love the German grand piano 1 sound, somebody else says, no, I prefer the German grand piano 2 sound, whatever, but you can play around with it to really get the sound that you want. We made the narrow sharps slightly narrower than, it's not exactly a regular 6.5 octave shrunk down. We've done some differences because I have short hands, but they're kind of a little bit stubby, and they need to be able to get between those black keys. So that was another feature that we wanted to do. There's lots of other things that I haven't gotten into. Hopefully I hit all the highlights.
I think you did. Tell us a little more about the portability. I think that's something that's huge with the narrow keys, because if you love it, you're going to want to take it with you.
Yes, and that's where we had to do a lot of balancing. So it weighs 28 pounds, which means it's portable for most people, or else 2 people can easily move it. It is weighted, so it has to have the weight of the keys. And so therefore, we got the lightest speakers. The speakers sound good, but they're the lightest speakers that we could get, because I wanted, a lot of people asked us, they want to plug it in and play it. They don't want to hook up a bunch of stuff. It can be hooked up to nicer speakers for bigger halls. It also, there was something I was thinking is, headphones. It's got a 1/8 inch headphone jack and a 1/4 inch headphone jack. So you can just plug in, and the headphone sound, depending upon the headphones you have, is just amazing. So it's, 28 pounds. It's very portable, and there's a stand you can buy that screws in to make it really stable, or you can put it on a neck stand. Or actually, I'll just put in a little plug for Keyhole Piano Shells in the United States. They are doing a grand piano shell made specifically for the Athena. It fits the Athena beautifully.
Is that what you had at the conference?
That's what I had at the conference. And it's funny because we had 3 Athenas, and they're all exactly the same, but people were lined up to play the grand piano one. And I kept saying, the other ones are the same, but there's that lovely aura of in a grand piano, especially if you're a teacher and you want your students to perform and you've got a grand piano regular. It's nice to have the grand piano shell, and you just slip in the digital and plug it into a good PA system, and bingo.
Yeah. And you said that shell folds up?
That particular one folds into, you can throw it in the back of your car. When I got home from NCKP, I had a gig out at the local art show, and I just folded it up, tossed it in my car, put it up a very short amount of time, and played in a grand piano shell. They do other ones that don't fold up. They could actually have a variety that they will make to fit it, but that particular one did.
That's so fun. Wow. Okay. So Linda, tell us where listeners can learn more about this if they're interested.
If you're interested, go to narrowkeys.com, NARROW keys.com, or go onto YouTube. We're getting more and more YouTube videos all the time. Just search Athena Narrow Keys. Robert Estrin did a lovely one. Acon in Australia did some lovely ones. We're getting more and more. Jeremy Siskin is going to be doing some.
Yay. And he's coming on my podcast soon too. So it's a full circle.
He is so cool. And we've done some as well. So there's more going up all the time. So just search Athena Narrow Keys on YouTube and put in the comments if you want us to put up a video and you want to know more about it. But there's lots of good info.
Okay, Linda, this was so fun hearing you talk. I can just feel your passion for this coming through the computer here. So thank you for sharing about this. I know it's going to change so many people's lives, and I'm so excited to see where it leads.
Thank you, Rachel, for exploring this, and especially from someone with small hands. Your questions were wonderful, and I look forward to you trying it again.
I would love that. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, bye for now, Rachel.
So what do you think now? I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. After we stopped recording, Linda told me that in the next few months, there will be 3 times as many narrow key pianos in the world as there currently are, which is fascinating. I'm really interested to see where this all goes, and I'm hoping to be able to spend a little more time playing the Athena piano. So if I do, I'll be sure to post about it on my Instagram at Rachel Ehring. Now, Linda mentioned Jeremy Siskin during our interview, and it just so happens that Jeremy is going to be on the podcast next week. So be sure to check back next Friday to hear that interview. That's the end of the show for this week. I'm Rachel Ehring, and you've been listening to the Top Music Piano Podcast. I'll talk with you again soon.
How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages, both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today.